The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Join Hanson Scotty coming up on Wednesday at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3:42:35 Farm Road in West Jordan. Ben, the college football playoff bracket is out. And yes, I do believe that BYU got the shaft. And we can talk about that. You were right. Nobody thought that they would lose and get in. I think even if they lost close, I don't think they would have gotten in. I think they were set up to do this because this is what the committee wants. That doesn't justify anything, in my opinion. I think the compare resumes game is silly because they don't really even mean it when they play it. But worst case scenario happened for the playoff committee, and they still justified doing what they wanted.
Exactly what you said couldn't happen, which is Duke winning the ACC title game, meaning that they had to bring in two G5 schools to play in this, which was the worst thing they wanted. And it came at the cost of Notre Dame, who gets to operate independently because of their loose connection to the ACC. Now they can throw. They're throwing this morning. They're throwing the ACC under the bus for not putting them over Miami, even though they lost to Miami head-to-head. But yet, what you warned of happening last week was that if JMU, James Madison, and Tulane get in,
or win,
and get into the college football playoff.
Because Duke beats UVA.
We're
ACC.
going to get rid of the automatic qualifier in general. And Big 12 fans, that's bad for you.
Yes, it is.
That's only bad for you and the ACC. Because as soon as they recognize, we don't want anyone getting automatically qualified, because now we can sell this as, well, ACC, it would have been better for you to not have automatic qualifiers because James Madison would be out and Tulane would be out and Miami would be in, and Notre Dame would be in. And you get represented by 1.5 schools, however you view Notre Dame. But you would have that representation, and now you don't. And they are going to use this to justify a new rule change, which allows them to put in whoever they want to fill out the 12-person bracket. And who's going to make it? It's going to be all the SEC schools and all the Big Ten schools they can get, because it's better TV. And it's bad for the Big 12, and it's bad for the ACC, but it's good for the sponsors. It's good for the mouse, and the mouse loves it.
It's good for the mouse, Ben. It is good for the mouse. You hit that.
Boy.
You hear it already. I can't tell you. I saw at least half a dozen college football media people putting it out already. Can't have the qualifiers anymore.
Yep,
Can't do
absolutely.
it. Can't do it
Because
anymore.
no one's going to watch James Madison. No one's going to watch Tulane.
It was the worst case scenario. The dream team was pretty cool. Christian Laettner actually didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they put Christian on there to kind of put their toe in the water, like, we still kind of have an amateur on.
Yeah.
And then you figured out, okay, well, the amateur then goes.
Yeah.
No, getting rid of automatic qualifying is terrible for anybody not in the SEC or the Big Ten. Because, no, they wouldn't be including Miami and Notre Dame. They'd be including Texas and Vanderbilt.
100%.
That's
maybe BYU, but no guarantee.
No Big 12. I mean, ESPN is half into the Big 12.
Uh-huh.
ESPN, see, the point I was getting at is worst case scenario happened and they justified what they wanted anyway at the expense of Notre Dame, which is hilarious. But remind me who Notre Dame's TV contract is with.
NBC.
You don't think the Mouse has been asking for that TV deal for decades?
Right.
But no, they've stuck it out with NBC. Mouse probably would have given them whatever they want. No, they're sticking it out with NBC. So, I'm sure the Mouse loves Notre Dame to a point. The Mouse was never going to let the ACC go unrepresented. It was never going to happen. They're 100% in on the Atlantic Coast contract with the worst TV deal in history, but it lasts till 2035.
Uh-huh.
The Mouse was never going to let the ACC go unrepresented. And they did it at the expense of Notre Dame. It truly was a Sophie's choice. But you know what? They don't have the rights to Notre Dame.
Yep.
They have the rights to the ACC. I'm sure, who's the ACC's commissioner now? I'm sure that guy was in the Mouse's ear 24/7 being like, dude, you're not gonna screw us out of a bid. You're putting Miami in. And that's what they did. They justified jumping they had that justification in their pocket forever. So why did they rank Notre Dame ahead of Miami because they thought UVA was going to beat Duke. They could slight Miami, and they could include Notre Dame.
Yep.
But Duke beats UVA.
Yep.
The ACC is left out in the cold, and they're like,
our hands are tied.
we're not going to leave our guy in the wind. We're
Right.
taking the ACC team. Sorry, Notre Dame. And evidence to this, Ben, is how butthurt Notre Dame is that they're not even going to go to a bowl because who owns the Pop-Tart Bowl? The dang mouse. So Notre Dame's going, oh, you don't want us in your big TV show. Well, we're not doing any TV for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any Irish bump on any of your bowl games because we're not going to do it. Have a nice day. Is BYU boycotting a bowl?
No.
No. Anyway, let me play this clip, which I thought was interesting. The whole Tim Brando interview was interesting, and he said other things other than this, but I thought that this was pretty telling. So this is just a short, what is it, Christian? Couple minute and a half long from Tim Brando of Fox when he joined DJ and PK talking about the college football playoff last week.
College football, by far and away, is more popular than the NBA and Major League Baseball, and yet it is the fifth most compensated sport in America. It's fifth. So there's a lot of money being left on the table. Why do you suppose that is? Because when contracts like the college football playoff come up, these curmudgeons that govern it will have a wink and a nod and say, let's just do this. We won't even put it up for bid, and no one will say a damn thing. Well, guess what? I'm the mouth that roared from the South and will say it. It's wrong, okay? It's absolutely wrong. And if you took them to court, if you took the college football playoff to court and said this is absolutely not in keeping with how America should do its television contracts, okay, it should be making more money than it currently is. And it would. And more of America would understand that if, like the NFL, all of the networks had a piece of the pie.
So what he's implying is, and he says, he alludes to this later too, but is the college football playoff is not coming up for a bid. ESPN's doing that on purpose. They're telling the college football playoff, we'll give you all of this, and you let us have control over everything. And there's this been battle between Fox and ESPN and CBS over all these leagues for years, and they used to share, and so it led to some cohesion, and now it's one versus the other, depending on what league that you're in. But what he said, so do you know who Bill Hancock is?
Who's Bill Hancock?
He is the head of the college football playoff, the organization that actually governs this. Mm-hmm. It's not governed by the NCAA. Right. It's not governed by the conferences. It's governed by a random bozo named Bill Hancock, who was the head of, Ben, before? The BCS. And before that, he was the head of the Bowl Alliance. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who's just been putting dough in his pocket with an artificial, basically, job for decades. And I remember we had Andy Staples on when we went from the BCS to the college football playoff. And it was announced that Bill was going to keep his job, and it was just going to be the same people who ran the BCS running college football playoff. And I asked Andy Staples, I said, well, how can we expect something better when the same corrupt bozos who were running the previous system and are now running this system? Now, if you remember, what Bill and the BCS were doing was not only manipulating who got into the title game, but they were also, it was this corrupt ring of bowls that were taking these crazy junkets to like Jamaica and the Bahamas. And these guys are just living the dream over some artificial governance over college football for no good reason. So what do? They want to stay off the radar. We haven't heard from Bill Hancock since that day. Basically, he comes up and smiles on that stupid TV show, and that's all you see of that guy because he doesn't want to rock the boat because he's got a fake job. And he's putting all this money in his pocket. So he does this no-bid deal with the Mouse because the Mouse isn't going to rock the boat. The Mouse is stoked about it. So they take less money because these guys want to protect their jobs, basically. And so who controls the college football playoff committee? I mean, Mark Harlan might think he has a vote, or Ivan Maisel or whatever, but who tips the scales so they get what they want?
TV?
Specifically?
The Mouse.
The Mouse. That's how it works.
Yeah.
All right, now get out there and make me some money.
I'm picturing the mouse kicking in the door to the committee meeting yesterday and saying, "What's this I'm hearing about you guys considering BYU or Notre Dame? What's this I'm hearing?" Yeah, Duke screwed it up.
They did, yeah,
Duke
absolutely.
won the league.
It tied their hands to have to take JMU and Tulane, and they didn't want to take either of them, but their hands were tied.
And the mouse said, "Since when does that matter to me? Who's our team? Who's our school? Miami? Yep. Put them in. Tell BYU they're lucky to have what we give them. We could have killed them a decade ago. Yep. Tell BYU to say thank you." I mean, that, like, people think they want to bend over backwards and justify this. Well, this team beat this, and this resume did this, and this resume did that. It does not matter at all. The only reason the ACC gives 4 bids to the Big Ten is because they basically have to keep any legitimacy. I mean, this is all a battle over money, and it's gross. And yeah, put it out for a bid. Have the NCAA, well, it can't be the NCAA, create something to run it. But what's going on right now is a dang joke. And if the idea is to have legitimacy, this is not it. And so now you're going to have people clamoring for reform, like make it even less fair, which is another cat in the wall.
Our clips have been all over our social media. Christian does a great job polling them. Griffin does a great job polling them. You've seen them on our Instagram page. I was not just trying to sound controversial when I said they make this up as they go. That I'm not lying to you about that.
No, they do. To justify what they want.
Just making it up as they go. And guess what? Now that Tulane and James Madison is in, they will make up the rules again next year. They will change the rules to get the teams that they do want in.
Oh, they're already doing it. Did you see that they're creating a new addendum that Notre Dame automatically gets in if they're top 12?
Has signed a contract that says they automatically get in beginning next year if they're top 12, and if it expands to 14, they get in if they're top 13. Yeah, they're automatically in, and it would have pushed Miami out this year. But again, yeah, they just make the rules up as they go to get the result that they want. So while you can say on this side of it that BYU got the short end of the stick, kind of, other than this is exactly how the system is designed to work.
Right.
It's functioning exactly the way it's supposed to. They're just lying to you by calling it a playoff to make you think you can earn your way in. You can't earn your way in. You cannot do it. The only way you can is if you win your conference championship. And that only matters if they ranked you high enough for your conference championship to matter, because it didn't for Duke. So they are making up the rules as they go. They want you to think that you can earn your way in, and you can't, because they want to control the big names and who gets to be out there. And yeah, BYU gets left out in the cold, and Utah gets left out in the cold. They had Notre Dame above Miami all year. They don't play. And at the last second, they say, we kind of like Miami here over Notre Dame. Why? Because they are making it up as they go. I've been telling you this. You've been telling the listeners this. We were not lying to you. It's fake. It's a TV show to get you to watch, to get you to argue, and then when push comes to shove, they can get the teams that they want and the names that they want in the show. And it's amazing. They've done a brilliant job of doing it, and people are going to watch. But it's fake. They're lying to you. And we've been telling you that, and you have the proof.
Do we have a problem?
Miami's getting in.
Miami's getting in.
Do we have a problem?
So I guess we have some issues, huh?
But sir, we've had Notre Dame ahead of Miami all this time. How is that a problem? Do we have a problem?
If we're going to punish BYU for losing, certainly we have to punish Alabama for losing.
Nope.
No, we do not.
No, we certainly do not.
It's amazing.
We're sorry, Mr. Mouse.
It's a hilarious system. I feel bad because our listeners are the victims of the system. They are today. If you want to argue that BYU should have been in the top 12, you can. The only reason I'd argue against you is because you're arguing for a system that's not designed to do exactly what it's doing. That's the problem. That's why I would argue against you, is because as we have seen for years, it's designed to be this way. Unfortunately.
Do we have a problem?
So Alabama's in. It was amazing. It was amazing to watch Alabama. Absolutely. We said this term a lot, not get off the bus. They no-showed in that game. It was hilarious. And then yesterday morning, 10 a.m. our time, you could tune in and watch the college football playoff roll out, and everyone knew immediately with how they were ranking the teams, oh, they're not going to hammer Alabama in the slightest. And sure enough, number 9 didn't move. Number 9 coming in right away. Because Alabama's a huge name, and they love them. And everyone loves Alabama because they draw a lot of eyeballs. So they weren't going to get dinged at all. And BYU just doesn't move the needle the way they want them to.
No, well, I think it's just BYU's not there in the pecking order. And honestly,
100%.
With the Big 12 split between ESPN and Fox, ESPN just isn't as invested in the Big 12 as they are the other league. That is true.
Absolutely right.
You can't turn on the dang TV. I think you turn on basically like the Discovery Channel and you're going to find ACC basketball because they are full partners with that league, 100%.
It's so funny because of how easily, if they wanted BYU, how easily could they have sold it? I mean, it wouldn't have taken any trouble.
No.
You would have said, oh, guys, they were undefeated except for they lost to the top 4 team twice. Otherwise, they were undefeated this season. They were incredible.
And we're not going to punish them for losing in the conference title game, just like Alabama. So
or the first time they played.
So
we're not
Notre
punish
Dame
them.
and Miami are both out because BYU's got a better resume.
You could have so easily made that argument. They didn't want BYU there. They didn't. End of story.
It was more they wanted those others two schools.
They wanted the other schools
which is
there.
that really is the point. And then they had to decide between Miami and Notre Dame, and they picked the school they're invested in. Period.
Yeah.
They picked the league they're invested in.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
All right, now get out there and make me some money.
100%. And it works. They do a great job because they make a ton of money and they draw a ton of eyeballs and they get a lot of conversation.
But it's funny because they don't even prioritize the money, though, which was absolutely Tim Brando's point. Is they shouldn't be 5th in revenue if they're 2nd in the sports pecking order. That's bad management. Any other commissioner would be fired for something like that.
But they know who does make the decisions, which is the teams, and the teams funneled by the conferences that they want to support.
NCAA college sport, I don't know what they call it, the collective colleges or whatever, they have lost control of their own sport. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't have any legitimacy. It's absolutely a reality TV show. And the little specks of legitimacy, like automatic qualifying bids, where they're trying to at least pretend that they're being fair, slowly go by the wayside as they slowly win the PR battle that they started in 1985.
Yeah, the only argument, I guess, would be slowly, because they will get rid of you as soon as it's inconvenient. As soon as you're inconvenient, Tulane and JMU, you're gone. They are going to find a way to get rid of you.
No, BYU wins the national championship in 1984, and that sparks, wait, what? That can't happen ever again.
Yep.
Not one of the club is taking home our national title? Absolutely not. So what do we have to do? And the process has been painstakingly slow. But it's 2025, and we have the absolute Wild West with television networks running the show who do not care about college athletics. And athletes and all of that don't care at all about the experience. They don't care at all about fairness. They don't care at all about compliance. None of it.
Oh, the funniest thing is that they label it a playoff because it is a bracket. So they call it a playoff. But in basically every other sport, I'm sure you could bring it up to me if there's another one that's corrupt like this, but you actually have to earn your way in.
Oh,
you actually have to get into the NBA playoffs, and they let everybody in, but you actually have to get into the NFL playoffs or the NHL playoffs or Major League Baseball, where it was almost impossible to get in for a very long time. You actually have to earn your way in. This is literally just a group of people that picks who's in. I mean, it's not a playoff. There's no earning your way in. They're just going to pick and choose who they want. If they wanted to ding Texas Tech and put them and say, well, we didn't think you were one of the actually best teams to win your conference championship, they could have left them out if they wanted to and put Tulane or James Madison or Duke over them. They could have actually picked that, which is why, as silly as it was when they said, oh, if you win this game, you have a 99.9% chance of getting in. The 0.1% chances they didn't have to pick you if they didn't want to. There is the human element where they can do whatever they want.
Well, in the future, anywho. Because they would have gotten the automatic bid if they would have won.
BYU.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
only because they had ranked them in the previous 6 weeks where they didn't have to rank any of these teams where they did. Yeah. That's the other myth. You didn't earn that ranking. They chose to give you that ranking because it's what they wanted to make up. The same reason Notre Dame and Miami and Alabama, they chose to rank them above BYU, not based on their schedule, not based on anything tangible, nothing real, just by their decision because of the name value and what they thought it would do for their rankings.
And who they work for.
End of story.
And did you see the commissioner of the SEC said, well, we should get 7 teams in. I mean, the ink wasn't even dry on the dang bracket.
Teams.
And he's like, so we should be having 7 teams.
And you know what? He's on the call with whoever at the mouse he needs to make sure that next year they're looking out for the 7th team in the SEC.
Because they are 1,000% invested in the SEC. It's their second best product.
It's good for business.
It's the second best product at ESPN is the Southeastern Conference.
Yep.
The might of the mouse himself is in their corner. And to a lesser extent, the ACC. I mean, what a joke of a league. Honestly, a joke of a league. Duke won their conference championship game with a, 7-5 record?
Mm-hmm.
Joke.
Yeah, a joke. 8-5, but yeah, they were 7-5 going into the conference.
You give them, that league, the benefit of the doubt. Have you looked at who Miami lost to and who they beat? They beat Notre Dame, and that's it.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
They lost to Louisville, and who was their other conference loss? It sucked too. So, if you're looking for justice, this what makes me, and maybe we bring this full circle here, this what bothers me about these combos where I hear people going, but this resume and this resume. Those people want justice. They want justice.
Of course.
They want fairness.
You want
and
fairness.
they want fairness and they want justice. We want what we deserve for our season within the rules. They want fairness and justice. And college football doesn't care about either anymore. Doesn't care about
It's not a just
either.
system, and it's not designed to reward justice or fairness. That's not what the system is designed for. That's what I think we've been trying to get across is the system is not failing. It's not designed to do what you think.
It's not their goal.
But they lie and they call it a playoff to make you think that's what it is. And that's not what the design of the system is.
No. Because what we used to have is what we have in almost every sport or did, is that we have some sort of regional grouping that expands into some sort of other regional grouping that then files into some sort of tournament. I mean, if you want to think about the Little League World Series, you have your state tournament, and then you have your regional tournament, and then you have your other regional tournament, bigger regional tournament, and then the winners of those go to the Little League World Series. Now, there's probably some team in California that goes, there's way more better teams in California. This is unfair that some New Hampshire team gets, but that's its own model of fairness. Everybody has a chance to get there. That's not what they value. They're not valuing access or fairness or any of that. In fact, the state attorney general for Utah, I'm not even kidding, should start suing on Utah State's behalf now. Because if that G5 bid goes away or whatever and they don't have access, that absolutely is illegal. Because we are dealing with public universities here. There is such a thing as Title IX. You have to somehow have access. Your favorite Attorney General, Mark Shurtleff, basically proved that with the old way when he sued the BCS. And basically protected the access for smaller schools at that point. States need to take it up because they're going to get rid of that AQ. And yeah, it'll hurt the Big 12, but it'll hurt the Pac-12 way more, way sooner.
Yes, it will.
All right, stay tuned. More next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about our friends at Miki Couture, the best blankets and gifts ever. Plus, you can save 50% this holiday season with promo code ZONE50. Shop online at MikiCouture.com or visit any of their great 6 locations. Ben, is Will Hardy coming apart at the seams?
No.
So this making the rounds, obviously. Will, last night during the game, during a timeout, somebody... ambushed him with a video? Somebody was
sitting behind the Jazz bench.
And videoed out his message during the break. Part of his message was, quote, I'm tired of bleeping doing this every game, bleeping play harder.
It was about the team's defense.
Well, yeah, usually you don't complain about trying hard on offense because
everybody
loves playing
really
offense.
Fun to play offense.
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, he appears to be quite upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm joking about is he coming undone?
Sure.
I'm not actually being serious about that. But I do think tanking probably isn't all that fun, and being asked to set a culture or development or these other things that he's being required to do. We've talked about it a lot. It's not really an easy needle to thread because standards get set. I mean, what kind of standard was he setting with his young players last year at the end of the year?
Right. Not a great one. Just go out there and play.
And it's not his
Roll
fault.
the ball out there. No, it's not at all.
That's what he was asked to do. Roll the ball out there, sit down in the fourth quarter, and what? Try not to ruin the draft pick?
Yeah, don't win.
So how are you expected to set a culture? We got done in the first hour because culture is such a buzzword. But we were talking about what makes Oklahoma City so great. And it's part of the reason is because their best player or their best players are two-way players that play really hard on both sides of the ball. And so that means that everybody has to do it. That's culture. So Mark Dagnall, at the beginning of his run with Oklahoma City, had to set the standard that this is how you're going to play if you want to play here. Then he got to buy in from the best player, and then everybody else has to buy in or they don't play.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got the best defense and offense in the league, which is absolutely incredible. And I say it like it's an easy thing to do.
No, it's
which was
unheard of, yeah.
Locke's point when we talked about this on Crosstalk last night on the broadcast. But Will Hardy has to try and establish something like that with this team, like that, and build.
Like that?
But at the same time, you don't get a lot of incentive. There's not a lot of incentive to the players to defend them for a second. What do you want us to do? Are we serious about winning ball games? Because I don't really feel like going out there and breaking my tail on defense, especially game 25 or whatever it is.
Well, let me zoom out a little bit, even from Will Hardy and Mark Daigneault, the coach at Oklahoma City, and go to Sam Presti and go to, honestly, Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck and the approach they took, because it was a different approach, which was the Jazz, when they were starting this rebuild, when they had all these draft picks, which wasn't the first year, it was the second year. Remember, they didn't have any draft picks that first year, and Danny Ainge talked about how boring it was, and rightfully so. But that second year, they have 3 draft picks. And while they did go with a defense guy in Taylor Hendricks, he's been too hurt to be able to get on the floor. Their next 2 players were one side of the floor guys, and it was Keontae George at 15 or 16, wherever they picked him, and Bryce Sensabaugh, who was number 27. And Bryce Sensabaugh has maybe taken more wrath from Will Hardy than anybody because of his defensive flaws. Because Bryce is not a good defensive player, and Bryce knows he's not a good defensive player, and he's trying to be a good defensive player, and he just blows rotations, and he's not in the right spot. Neither here nor there. Then you go out and you draft Isaiah Collier, who also caught the wrath of Will Hardy last night, and I don't think that's who he was necessarily yelling at. We don't see who he's yelling at. But he only played 6 minutes last night. And Kyle Filipowski, who I think it might be who he was yelling at last night. I could be wrong. Well, those guys are one-sided players, and I get that they were great offensive players, which is why Isaiah Collier was the number 1 recruit in his class, and Kyle Filipowski was 5 in his class. But because we rate guys based on the offensive side of the ball. So what I'm trying to get to is it's hard to establish a defensive culture on the back end if you don't set it up on the front end. And the front end is who you draft and who you bring into your team. And credit to Sam Presti, who has made a point of bringing in 2-way guys. And when they get 1-way guys like Josh Giddey, they ship them out in favor of 2-way players like Lou Dort.
If they don't start playing.
If you don't figure out how to do it, you don't stick around regardless of, Josh Giddey was one of the cool young players in the NBA. Now, he had his off-the-court issues, but, we used to talk about what a good player he was and how exciting he was, and wow, how lucky are they to have him. They recognized he didn't match their culture, so they got rid of him. And that's cutthroat, but if you want to have a culture, you can't have cracks.
Well, in all fairness, his game didn't really fit either.
It didn't fit either.
No.
But he was good, and you could justify, hey, that was a win. I drafted that player. Look at how much we like him. We're going to adjust to fit what he does because it makes me look good that I drafted him where I did in the lottery.
It's tricky. Do you want to draft a defensive guy and teach him how to play offense, or do you want to draft an offensive guy and talk him into playing defense? Because here's the problem with Bryce Sensabaugh, is he doesn't realize that he's not going to be an NBA player unless he figures it out on the defensive end. And I think my wife may be listening, so I'll use this comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not an organized person.
Uh-huh.
I'm not. It's really a difficult thing for me. And I've tried in the past to say, I'm just not an organized person when I've fallen short on the organization standpoint. And her line back to me was not, okay.
Right. Right.
It was, you better become a more organized person.
On it. Yeah.
If we want this relationship to work out. She didn't, of course, put it that plainly. But the point, right? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Bryce is a fine scorer.
Yeah, good score. Yeah.
He's a skilled player. He's kept his body, I think, in a pretty good spot, which is a good sign. But dude, I don't know what to tell you. You can tell me you're not a good defender, but unless you pour it on and become one, you're not going to play for the team.
Yep.
That's, I don't know this for a fact, but that's basically what they told Keontae George.
That's exactly what they told
And
Keontae.
he 1,000% responded.
Yep.
And you can get through to some players, and you can't get through to others. If Kirilo Fasinko would have had his head on straight, he would have played for 15 years in the league.
Uh-huh.
And I pick him just because he's the goofiest. He was the goofiest, most immature, and I've seen a lot of immature players come through in the NBA. And he had to have been the most goofy, immature player I've ever seen on a Jerry Sloan team.
Yep.
And it's like, he played what? He went and had a stint with the Pacers. He probably played for, was it like
3
5 or
years,
6?
But he played that long? Yeah, it was not long.
Dude was the size of a house and was pretty athletic.
Mm-hmm.
He could have played in the league forever if he figured it out. And I'm sure Jerry told him, like, dude, if you don't figure this out, you're going to be out of the league.
Yeah.
And it didn't sink in. And that's the deal with Bryce. You can go to Will Hardy, and we can put Collier in here. And I often don't like singling out people when I think it's
totally fair.
It's more than just a couple people. But specifically with Bryce Sensabaugh, you've got the size, you've got the length, you've got the athletic ability. You're never going to be Luka Doncic, where you're so good on the offensive side you can fool a coach into not letting you play defense.
Yep.
So unless you figure it out, it's not going to work.
And you have to put your money where your mouth is. I mean, that's just the truth of when that's where the Jazz are, and Will Hardy has teased it at times. Famously, the fourth quarter where he benched basically all the starters and went with Cody Williams and Elijah Harkless. Because Cody is an extraordinarily flawed basketball player, right? Like, Cody is the 12th or 13th best player on the Jazz roster right now. And it's a whiff of a draft pick, and that's unfortunate. He does try on the defensive end. And if you want to set that culture, Will Hardy's shown that he will throw him out there. And Elijah Harkless is a two-way player, but he does play on that end, and Will Hardy occasionally will do it, but he is not set that that's what they're going to do at all costs. Now, the good news for the Jazz is their formula, or I should say their strategy, to go out there and draft these players, to find their star offensive players, has worked. They have Lowry right now. Keontae George is a very good offensive player, and Ace Bailey's going to be a really good offensive player. Now, the nice thing about Ace is he actually does try to play both sides of the floor. He doesn't know where he is.
His problem is he's just lost.
He just doesn't know where he is, but he really does try to play both
Which
sides
is
of the floor.
Taylor's problem, too.
And I think those guys will be fine, and they will figure it out.
Right.
You don't have to do the Bryce Sensabaugh draft or the Kyle Filipowski draft or the Isaiah Collier draft anymore. You don't have to take that approach going forward. You can now go out and try to get guys who you know are just going to play on both ends of the floor without just saying, well, we need to find these offensive stars or the best player available. You can start to look now, just kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, of just getting the best defensive players and building your identity that way. And you will have to move on from a lot of these guys who only play one side of the floor. But if you don't want to have Will Hardy yelling at his team anymore, that is the approach you have to take. And it has to be from the top down. Because this is not a Will Hardy problem. This is a strategy problem from the beginning of the rebuild, which is by design, and it will pay off. But they're going to have to shift away from what they have been doing over the last couple of years, and I do think you will see that.
All right, stay tuned. We will have more coming up next. Wrapping up the show, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got it Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
The Jazz are playing terrible basketball, non-competitive, and it's painful to watch. I've been a Jazz fan for 43 years, and the past 2 seasons is some of the worst Jazz basketball I think that's been played in a long time. Tanking or not tanking, it's just bad right now.
Thank you to Larry, who hit us up on the call-in feature on the KSL Sports app. It is the worst basketball they've ever played. Mm-hmm. You can go back.
Last year truly was.
Yeah, truly was. Yeah, they've never been the worst team in the league before, and they were the worst team in the league. So that 100% is true. With this year, though, I would advise Larry to not look at the overall product and try and look on the micro. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's what this team is about this year, and that was always going to be true. For example, Ben has carpal tunnel now from writing about Walt Clayton.
Correct.
Ben,
a lot
it's
about
Ben's
Walt Clayton.
favorite subject. Just, deep exposés into Walt Clayton.
As much as I think people want to read about back-to-back 30-point losses, yeah, they generally like the bright spot of the young player.
But Walt played well.
He did play well.
He did
Yeah.
play.
It is the micro.
And he's a, late first rounder? Am I remembering that right? Like those.
19, yeah.
Yeah, mid. Those guys still true are hit or miss.
Yep.
They're either going to be good or they're not going to be in the league.
Yep.
I'll remind you, Mo Almond. The
Yeah.
Jazz took him with a 23rd, 4th pick. Like everybody's like, this is the shooter they've been needing.
Yep.
Here he comes.
Shot in the dark.
And he was not.
Nope.
But then you look at somebody like, ultimate example, Jimmy Butler, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Like that. And
Like that?
with Walt, it could go either way.
Rudy Gobert.
He's got a ton of potential. Yeah, a ton of potential. But he's got to get out there and show it. And there is something to be read into that he played well in his opportunity, given that he had that opportunity because other guys aren't doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah. And to be doing it this early in the season where the ball is not just being rolled out to him. But
there is some stuff on the micro that you can look at, Larry. And if you're searching for some sort of optimism, it is there. Ace Bailey can get any shot on the floor. Now, I don't know if he's going to make it.
yeah.
But,
yeah.
when it comes, Donovan Mitchell was never freaking open at the end of games because he was 6'1", and the other team knew he was going to have the ball the whole time.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey can have the ball anywhere against anyone in the league, and he can find a shot.
You'd be like, wow, that was a good shot.
Yeah, good might be a loose term, but
He got to look.
He got to look.
We'll say that. He got a good look.
That's Kevin Durant's superpower.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not comparing Ace Bailey to Kevin Durant, but there is a similarity there that he can get himself a shot anywhere on the floor.
Yeah,
And that was even true last night against Oklahoma City. It just didn't go down.
right.
But he had that, elbow three? I don't know, what do you want to call that? That right at the break three?
Yeah.
All night. It just didn't go in.
Yeah.
He's gotten into the lane and he's pulled up and free throw line extended, has a beautiful shot. It just doesn't go in all the time. As soon as he hones that and actually figures out what his spots are, potential to be deadly. Keep an eye on stuff like that. I'll tell you a good sign about Ace, and this seems stupid. He runs back on defense. I know that seems like such a silly thing to look to. Watch NBA players and estimate a percentage of the NBA that runs back on defense.
Yeah.
It's probably like 30%.
He is doing it on both sides of the floor. And again, he's not figured it out. He's not solved it. But at least there's some good signs in that direction.
But to our guy Larry, what they're trying to do this year is try hard and lose. Try, and lose. It's not going to be pretty at times. And it certainly has not been for the last two games.
It is funny, every game. And this one was coincidentally again against Brooklyn, which was the one with Jazz fans freaked out about the Jazz beating Brooklyn here last year in January, and Jazz still finished with the worst record, was Jazz win on the road at Brooklyn, which they were always going to win on the road at Brooklyn this year, and fans freaked out. They lost their next two games by 60 points. They were never in that Knicks game.
Well,
they were never in the game last night.
I'm done paying attention to the tank note. I was never on board to paying attention to a win or a loss in that sense in November, December.
Sure.
It's ridiculous.
Agreed. I'm with you.
Okay, before we go,
Feel for Larry.
can I tell you that I'm really enjoying the tears coming from Notre Dame and their fans? That I am truly. It's like we were talking about. You have somebody in your life who is a musician, that's competing for first or second chair. It's like if the well-resourced flautist with the best flute and who always gets the breaks and all this somehow gets second chair.
Yeah.
You don't really feel bad for that flautist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything's been handed to him.
And not necessarily that I would enjoy drinking their tears, but in Notre Dame's case, it didn't break their way for the first time in the history of college football, and they're crying.
They're perplexed.
And I find it hilarious.
Yep.
And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Listening to their AD cry in the media today has just been a true blessing.
We have not addressed the team sitting out bowl games, which I think is it is certainly tied to the college football playoff becoming the only thing that matters anymore, and all the rest of the games are nearly a waste of time. And the number of players who aren't going to be participating in them is leading now to, I think, the reason why teams aren't playing entirely. The players don't want to go. Our friend Kyle Gunther used to love to go to the bowl games because it was the only time you could get paid, essentially. You could get a TV, or you could get a coat, or you could get a backpack, or whatever. You could get gifts for going to the bowl game, and now every player's paid, so those don't matter so much anymore. But yeah, guys want to enter the transfer portal. Guys want to hit the road. Guys don't want to have their entire December taken up to go play in Orlando or wherever. If they don't have to, they've got money. They want to spend it. They want to have their free time, or they want to hit the transfer portal. So it's a disaster what's happening right now with the postseason with college football, and the bowl games are a nightmare. And the playoff, the one funny thing is, you're right. Notre Dame has to sit with this all off season and listen to everyone make fun of them for not showing up.
And pout.
And I don't have any problem with it.
Oh, hilarious.
Yep.
Scared of BYU as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that again,
They're frightened of the Cougs.
that game, and they're going to be talking about it during the Pop-Tart Bowl when that game kicks off. Was it the 27th?
Uh-huh.
They're going to say, this was originally supposed to be Notre Dame. That was the thought. I mean, that is going to be something that Notre Dame has to live with. Unfortunately, we know the College Football Playoff Committee will bend over backwards for Notre Dame next year to make sure they get in.
We
In
just
fact,
saw
the contract is already there.
we just saw an ad on the mouse for the Neil Diamond movie coming out. Mm-hmm. If you were Hans, would you see it? Like a dyed-in-the-wool Neil Diamond guy, would you see it?
Yes, because this isn't about Neil Diamond. It's about a Neil Diamond impersonator.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Okay. Oh, so that makes it better.
It's Hugh Jackman playing the role of somebody impersonating.
Oh, so he'll
Neil
like it.
Diamond, so he'll like it.
Because I was really worried about the Bob Dylan movie.
You're a Bruce Springsteen fan?
No.
Apparently, the new Springsteen documentary biopic is terrible.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, he's okay, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not Springsteen guy.
Yeah.
The Elton John one was so terrible. I was so.
They're bad.
I was
Music
so
biopics
disappointed.
are bad.
The Dylan one wasn't.
It was fine.
It wasn't.
It was as good as those
And
can be.
the Johnny Cash one wasn't. That was pretty good.
I didn't see the Johnny Cash one.
The Queen one was meh.
Awful.
What's his name was pretty good as Freddie.
Yeah,
Mercury,
right.
But
That's
that
their
was
whole thing. Is your whole bit is you just play a guy.
Remy Malek. Yeah. But the Elton one, oh my Lanta.
Elvis was terrible.
Elvis was so bad.
Didn't love Elvis was okay. You just hate Tom Hanks.
Well, Jacob Elordi was good, but yeah, the whole stuff with the Colonel was.
Stay tuned.
Painful.
Hanson Scotty coming up next.
Thanks, Christian.
97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.